Oh my gosh, I've just been so busy. I feel like it's sort of all consuming trying to record myself making content for YouTube videos and then doing all the editing that's involved with that. Typically, I'm just like sort of trying to capture what I'm doing in the day to day, which is kind of how my videos are being formed, is just capturing whatever I'm working on, but it's still kind of a lot to record it and edit it all together and voice over and try to make it interesting and try to think of stories to tell and stuff like that. But anyway, it is now Tuesday. I'm going to post chapter 11 today, which means this is my first clip for chapter 12, which will be posted a whole week from today. So I thought I'd get a jump on recording some segments, and I wanted to show you the Nana that I've been working on. So this is going to be Nana Billie, as in Billie Eilish, and she's all in pastels. I separated out all the pastels. I showed you just the leg in the last video. I have one breast made. This is the one with the heart. It's not attached yet, obviously. So I thought I'd invite you along while I crochet the other breast. So I've already gotten out the 7 yarns that I'm going to use for her second breast, and do that now. So anyway, welcome or welcome back. My name is Aileen. Welcome to my little space where heart and hook stitch up a place where we can together make a refuge, safe for all our sake. I did have ChatGPT help me write my intro and my outro poems. Please tell me in a comment below if you think I should abandon those at this point, or if they're fun and catchy. The only trouble with sitting and chatting with you while I crochet is that oftentimes what I'm doing requires counting as I work. But that's why I tend to oftentimes take a video clip, a time lapse or a regular video, and then I do a voiceover. But so this other breast has like 5 different yarns that do a spiral. So I kind of have to start them all on here at once. 5 working yarns at once. So I got the first one on. This one's going to have a fuzzy yarn in the spiral as well. I don't remember if I looked ahead to see who I had listed as the next Nana, the next person I'm gonna name a Nana after. I'm kind of excited to see that. Much of this Nana pattern I know by heart now, which is not surprising since I've been making one every week since Trump was elected. I have over 20 available, or maybe exactly 20 available. I think it's 20 available because I had 20 available and then I sold one and then I made another one available. So I'd love to get them into more homes of people that would appreciate the art and the sentiment and my mission in raising funds for the ACLU. I'd love to be able to make another donation to the ACLU. And just on a separate selfish note, not selfish, but I want my business to work. I'm hoping that sales continue to pick up in general in my shop. I had to make a shipment last week, midweek, and then again just yesterday, Monday. So, more than once a week shipping is a good indicator that things are beginning to pick up a little bit. So I'm hopeful that a better end of the year, second half. Well, we're not even in the second half yet, but I hope it's a strong year. Usually this is like a slow time anyway. I know I've said that. I'm getting redundant. But I think I'm going to continue on this pastel type of theme with the next Nana as well, and I'll do it a different way. More maybe in color groups. This one is all mixed up, and I like it both ways. Wait, did I mess up? One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I not have enough stitches correct at the start? Or did I miss a stitch? I can fudge it and make it work. I am talented like that. Looks like I may have started because I'm talking and stitching and counting at the same time. Okay, I'll just add the extra stitch here. It's easy to mess yourself up on the counting when you're talking at the same time. So I think I'll just stop talking for right now because I don't have anything else to say, but I will continue on with maybe some storytelling or some other type of voiceover over the rest of this. I especially wanted to name a Nana after Billie Eilish because, first of all, she has a huge platform and she used it to speak out against Trump and urged voters to vote for both Joe Biden back in the day, but also Kamala Harris this last time. And I think that if you have that kind of platform, it is your duty to speak out against things like fascism. Here they are. Earlier I was working on, because I was babysitting my niece out in the living room, and I didn't want the hassle of bringing all these yarns out to work on this little bit that I had left of the Nana. So I have this bag that I've had these, I have 9 Bernie dolls in progress. So for 6 of them have the green and 3 of them have the brown. I've shown you them in previous videos. I finished making the masks and getting those sewn on to all 9 of them, and I stitched on the hoods that I had already made onto 9 of them. So that's what I did earlier out in the living room when I was watching my niece, and that's where my scissors were. They were in that bag. They were just at the bottom and I didn't see them right away. Anyway, because now I can start taking off some of these. You have to start off with 5 working yarns in this spiral to start this breast, and then you can start working them off, fastening them off. Back in high school, I knew a gal. We actually played violin together in orchestra in junior high, and then in high school we were in choir together and we did some musicals together and such. And she went on to actually sign Billie Eilish initially, and is or was her agent. I'm not sure if she still is or not, but Sarah Bullwinkle. I'm flabbergasted that I have that connection to somebody as famous right now as Billie is. And anyway, I was super, super proud that I knew the gal that found and signed Billie Eilish initially back in the day before she was known by anybody. So anyway, regardless, that's not why I'm naming a Nana after her. Just sort of a cool side note that I'm what is that, 2 degrees separated from Billie Eilish. I don't actually have any of her albums, but everything that I have heard, I've been quite impressed with her singing. As a pop singer, she has amazing control over her voice. And that's something I always look for when I'm listening to music of any genre is that singer actually singing well? And she does. All right. The spiral part is done. It just needs 2 more rows of stitching to complete. And I've got these 2 yarns set out for that. One cool thing about making dolls and anything that is going to be stuffed is that it has an inside and an outside. And when you have to do any fastening off with the yarn and you have all these little scrappy knotted ends or just ends sticking out, you don't have to weave them in, you just leave them on the inside. Unlike a garment or a blanket where you have to weave in the ends so that they don't show on either side of the material. I suppose you don't have to. Some people intentionally do it as a style thing to leave them poking out everywhere, but that is one plus to making dolls. Oh my goodness, my stomach is making all sorts of gurgling noises right now. Okay, I'm going to tell you about this. Crocheting with single crochet, I can't help but notice that like the hook going in and out making the stitch of single crochet has a certain rhythm to it, and it oftentimes gets a song stuck in my head, but just a short little segment of the song because it goes with the rhythm of the crochet stitch. So I'll point it out to you now. Let's see if you can hear it with the mic first. Oh, and of course I'm using sort of like a bit of a scraggly yarn that wants to catch, but if it goes smoothly, it goes dun 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 dun, and I just hear Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, over and over again. Winnie the Pooh. Are there any other crocheters that hear Winnie the Pooh, just that one little segment of the song, over and over again as they're stitching? This has occurred to me for years, and it's the only segment of a song that has popped into my head as I'm doing single crochet stitches. I know if my mic is picking that up, it's probably also picking up my jingling bracelet, so you might not be able to hear the stitching, but I just thought that would be a fun little anecdote to share. And then I just have one more row of stitching to do. This row, however, is not going to be single crochet, so it won't be singing Winnie the Pooh to me. This row is half double crochet. So that's what it looks like with the addition of the purple row that I just added. And now I have this sort of Easter egg blue or blue-green Green, blue, blue, green. Robin's egg, that's what it's called. It makes me think of robin's egg, although it's a little bit more green. This is like the color, it's not the brand, but it's the color that Karen Simply Soft has a color called soft green. It's very close to that. Oh yeah, I just said I'm not doing single crochet, so then of course I started right away with single crochet. This is half double crochet. You know, this could be Winnie the Pooh as well. It's just like an extra little pickup note. Oh my gosh. I just ate, so my stomach is digesting. It's making all sorts of noises. I had a hot dog. Oh, also got my second cup of coffee here. I used to put sweetener in my coffee all the time. Sucralose for many, many, many years. Sucralose drops. Once I found out that I didn't want the maltodextrin that's in Splenda, I found out that you can get sucralose by itself in these little vials with these little bottles with a dropper as a liquid. And sucralose is the main sweetener in Splenda, which I was used to, but I realized that maltodextrin basically can affect your body the same as sugar. It's actually higher on the glycemic index than straight up sugar. So I cut that out and started using that. But then recently I've kicked the sucralose entirely in my coffee, and I now only use it specifically for special occasion desserts, like you saw me make that cake in the previous chapter. So now I've been having my coffee still with heavy cream and just a little sprinkle of salt. And the salt kind of kicks back the bitterness a little bit. And I've really gotten used to it this way. After I kicked the sweetener in my coffee, I actually tried it. Well, I accidentally, so I made myself a cup of coffee, and just out of habit, I grabbed the dropper and I put 1 drop in when I used to put like 3 for this size cup. And I stopped myself after 1 drop going, oops. And then I was like, it's okay. I'll, barely notice it. It'll just be a little sweet. It didn't even taste sweet to me. It tasted like chemicals. And I never thought that stuff had a chemical taste. And I still don't if I use it in a dessert. But now, after getting used to my coffee this way, I'm set. Just cream and some salt. And I don't need no sweetener. So I trim these breasts with a tail of yarn for sewing, so I can sew them on to the dolls. And every single doll is different. Every single Nana has been very, very different. However, I have made them each. I've been consistent with putting a heart on the right breast and a spiral on the left breast. So why stop now? I'm going to keep with that tradition for now. So initially, the first few Nanas that I made, I was pinning them in place and then stitching them. But now I kind of just set them there, get an idea for where it should be placed, and then I just hold it while I stitch around. And I stitch all the way around most of the circumference of the breast before I stuff it. And I kind of give it an inverted nipple as I hold it down to stitch it. It's kind of funny, I know. But oh my gosh, this one is so pretty. So pretty. I love these colors. And I have to say, when I was working on it at some point out in the living room, and my daughter and my mom happened to be going by, and they saw it sitting out in progress. They both separately commented that they thought it was really pretty. And I agree. Okay, so I've gone most of the way around. So there's still a spot here where I can stuff. And I have some stuffing right here. And I don't need my stuffing stick for this. Stuff it with the fingers. The fingers are sufficient for this job. Sorry, that was weird. There is a skill to stuffing dolls as well. It's not just the stitching. It's, if you've ever tried making amigurumi or crochet plushies or dolls of any sort, you probably understand that it's not so simple. It's not as simple as it seems. You have to kind of pack it in there just the right way for it to look nice and kind of shape it as you go. Otherwise, it can look really wonky. You don't want to understuff it, and you also don't want to overstuff it. And you know, the crochet material is stretchy, so you can end up warping what you've made. You want to maintain the shaping that you've made, but you also don't want to understuff it and have it sort of collapse on itself and not have any structure. So it's a fine balance. There. One boob down. I tend to not use the word boob. It just seems less, I don't know, respectful. And then with the spiral, I always have to decide which way I want to angle it. So this has like that blue-green fuzzy there. Do I want to angle that up or to the middle? Oh, I don't like the middle. Or do I want it going down this side? I think I'm going to do it like that. Okay. So same deal, just sort of hold it in place. If you end up going and following, finding the Nana pattern that I have been using to make these, just know that the stitch counts are a little bit off. So like the instructions that if you follow to a T the instructions, you won't have the same stitch counts at the ends of the rows that she indicates are supposed to be there. So I'm not sure what exactly she intended, whether the stitch counts at the ends are the correct things, or if the instructions for how to stitch those rows are what she intended. So I just ended up sort of figuring out my way of doing them, the way I like to do them. And then also I've adjusted the pattern for the breast with the heart on it. I've changed how I do the heart at the center. Because I wasn't really liking, I thought that the heart at the center could be improved upon a little bit, so I've adjusted that. So if you ever take up the pattern yourself and out of interest in seeing mine and you notice some differences, that's going to be why. But my first few nanas vary in form from one to the next before I kind of settled into how I want to make them, because at first I was trying to follow the pattern and then adjusting the instructions of the pattern so that I could hit the totals that she was saying each row should have in terms of stitches. And then I started going about it the opposite way, I think. I don't know. I kind of just have my own way of interpreting the pattern now. So if you take it up yourself as a project to make some of these nanas, then you can figure out how you like to make them. The pattern is still a great jumping off point. Just know that you'll have to kind of figure out the way you want to do it, because like I said, the pattern has a little bit of issue in being consistent between the instructions and the row total stitch counts. So here we go. I think that's good. Oh my goodness, she's so pretty. So then the last thing I'll do is figure out some sort of unique extra to give her. Although she's so gorgeous already. All of the other nanas so far, I've given some sort of unique extra. Only one of them has had. Actually, I think it was the Nana Sarah, as in Sarah Silverman. That one had so much fuzzy yarn all over it that I didn't do any embroidery on it. But other than that, every single Nana, except for one, has had an added bit of some sort of decorative embroidery. And the one that didn't have that had an applique, and that was Nana. The other Nana, Sarah McBride, Congresswoman Sarah McBride, and I gave her a flower applique. And now that I say that, I might give this one an applique instead of stitching too. Just because maybe something sitting right on top would stand out a little bit more on this material that this one is made of. So I'm thinking right now ahead. I don't have any orders right now at the moment. This Nana is about finished. I'll figure out something to put on her, either applique or embroidery. And I've got to give her a number. This is number 28, I believe. Because I think Nana Beyonce, the last one was 27. So I think this is Billie Eilish, Nana Billie, number 28, I believe. I'll have to stitch her a 28 here, give her some sort of other decor. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I'll think about that. And that's kind of all I have that I have to do right now. Other than that, I have other batch making stuff that I could work on little by little. But I also have these little tank tops that I was making that I think I have 3 already finished. Plus this one, a 4th one that, finished as in crocheted, but not with a liner put on. So I still need to put a liner on them. This one, I just need to finish with the the edging around the neck and the back with this black cotton. I've been sitting on that project for a couple weeks. I've just sort of abandoned them and went to my other stuff, Nana's, and my more recent orders. So that's my goal. I'm making myself a goal for this week and this video. I'm going to finish those shirts. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to finish those shirts. I'll show you as I line them. And I have the initial 3 that I made. I have the 2 that I've kept for myself. And the first one that I made, the one that I'm not keeping for myself because it's oversized on me, I'm going to make a listing for my shop. So I don't like having stuff sitting around needing to get done, unfinished projects. That's kind of what a lot of people talk about, like joke about as crocheters, is having tons and tons of unfinished projects. I hate having unfinished projects. So I'm going to finish these other tank tops that need the lining put in. I need to photograph them. I need to post about them, and I need to make listings for all 4. And actually, I'll have 5 tank tops available with these, the low V cut in the back. Part of it is I need to finish the timing process, timing myself, putting in the lining so that I can properly price them and then get them in the shop. Because otherwise, why did I bother making them? And they're just sitting around unfinished. I hate that. So I got to finish those so I can stop having that weighing on my mind. This will be photographed for tomorrow. And we'll see if I get any other orders to work on this week. Look what I made. I made an applique eye. So I just used more of the same pastels that I have for this doll. And I made this eye, and now I'm kind of a little bit torn as to where to put it. The belly, I was thinking maybe the head, but it's so big now, it kind of doesn't even look like an eye when it wraps around the head. So I'm actually thinking of maybe the back. I think I like that best on her back. It totally blends in. It doesn't really pop, but that's okay. Why not? For Billie Eilish, give her something a bit unusual and give her an eye. I was just thinking about, that's kind of funny. Eilish, eye. But anyway, thought I'd give her something unique. Not even a black pupil, pink pupil. All right, cool. Well, on Instagram, I noticed when I was in stories, this new little icon that I hadn't seen before. And I looked it up, and it's apparently a new feature called Expand Your Image. And it uses AI to take your image, if it's not in 9:16, like story aspect ratio, and it will fill out the top and the bottom to make it that ratio using AI to generate the rest of the image. And it's certainly not meant to fill out the image of like one of my thumbnails, like what I do here for YouTube. But I plugged this one in for chapter 10's thumbnail, and I ran through several options, and I thought it was hilarious. So I clicked back through them while doing a screen recording to show you. Well, as it turns out, I halfway kept my promise, and I finished off this shirt with the edging it needed, and I lined it. I also lined the pink one and photographed that as well the next day, but I still have one more to line, and I will be doing that this week, so that won't be in this video. Here is Nana Billie. She gets her own photo shoot, as do all of my Nanas. She's number 28 in my series of Nanas Against Trump and Fascism. Let it be known by my hook and yarn that I reject everything Trump stands for. Got one more little step done before heading out of town. I just had to try my hand at expanding my image again with my thumbnail from my last YouTube video, and we got some creepy results here. Totally cracking me up. Like, what is that thing at the bottom in that first image? By the way, when you see the highlighted section, that's just the thumbnail, and everything else gets kind of blurred. So you can see what's been created at the top and the bottom, and there's some really odd things. Like, there's a gal with her hand in her mouth. When my daughter told me she wanted a Civil War era outfit for tomorrow, I dove into my closet and I pulled out some items to put together an outfit for her. So I thought I would give it a try, putting it all on and seeing how it might work. So it started with the nightgown. It has sort of the little puff sleeves and the scoop neck. Then I layered over the top of that this skirt that I made for myself for my wedding 20 years ago. It was 2005. So there we go. It's a little bit loose on me now. Once I got this extra skirt on as a top layer, I just wanted to keep twirling. This was my mom's, and I apprehended it from her many, many, many years ago. I haven't worn it in a while, but I kind of want to start wearing it again. It has these gold threads that run the length of it up and down, and it's really light and flowy, and it's got a lot of material. The next piece I add is a sash around my waist. I thrifted this years ago, going for sort of the bodice part of the dress, if we're calling it a dress, trying to imitate that look of maybe kind of a corset around the waist. I researched to see what crochet was happening in the 1860s, and little lace collars just like this were very common. So I grabbed this collar that I made in honor of Ruth Bader Ginsburg when she died. Then there were also a lot of little capelet type things like this. And I still have this on hand. It's available for sale in my shop. It was made to look like a garment worn in the show Outlander. My daughter didn't end up wearing it, but this was the outfit that I put together as an idea. She ended up doing the lace collar over a different top that my mom had for her, a shirt that my mom made for her own wedding. So, and then everything else was the same as this, except we tied the sash so that the bluish purple ends hung in the back. And here, of course, is the second of the two shirts that I lined this week and photographed. They are now available in my shop, as well as the original very first one that I made where I stitched the lettering "Protect the Dolls" on it. So all three of those are currently in my shop available. All three of them, I would say, are really more of a size large to extra large, which is what I was shooting for with these last two shirts. And I do have the one more shirt that still needs to be lined and photographed. I'll do that this week, and that will be in next week's video, so just stay tuned for that. Look, it's Willie. Hello, I'm back. I've made some more progress on the next Nana. This is going to be named after Bjork, so this will be Nana Bjork. And as you can see, I went with the pastel colors that I did on the Nana Billie, except I put them together like all the like colors. So we've got yellows, greens, with a little bit of blue and purple and pinks. And I'm only doing the pastels separated out for the legs, for basically the skin tone. If I'm separating it out like skin area and clothing area. So she's going to have this little like bodysuit on. So the top here for her chest and head and arms will all be the pastels. And then what I did is I alternated with all the other yarns that I have that I had left aside when I separated out the pastels. So I've already put all of those yarns away, and I already made the breasts in the non-pastel colors. So those will go on like around here, and it'll look like she's got like a little bodysuit on, and her skin is this stripy pastel color stuff. So that's what I'm working on. I may finish that today. And then since I happen to be wearing it, I thought I'd show you. This is an old project. What I have here is a dress that I made out of this top part. It had sleeves, kind of like a puffy style sleeve. And it was a shirt that I had gotten at Cost Plus World Market. And I didn't really like the look of the puff sleeves. I just didn't really care for the shape it gave me, I guess. So I got this idea to cut off the sleeves, refinish. So I just not hemmed. Is that what it's called? I guess so. I hemmed this. I don't know all the sewing terms. And I only like to sew by hand. I can't handle sewing machines. I don't want to deal with threading them and getting all the tensions correct and whatnot. And then I have the shirt just ending where it normally ended, where it actually ended originally. Did I take it in on the sides? I don't even remember. Yes, I did. So I took it in on the sides here because it was much wider and looser fitting. So I took it in on the sides here and tapered it down to I think the width that the shirt naturally was down here. And then you see these panels here that I've got going. These that match this are from the sleeves, and this alternating polka dot I have here is from another shirt that was actually similar in style that I didn't care for. And they're totally different fabrics, but they go together, in my opinion. This is like a cotton and this is a polyester. This shirt that I had in the polka dots, it was also similarly like a puff sleeve type of loosey-goosey hippie type shirt, and I had thrifted it. So not only is it getting a second life, but now a third life in the paneling at the bottom of this dress. So my mom had the exact same shirt, and I did the same thing to hers for her, using scraps of my polka dot shirt as well. So we actually have matching dresses. And then there's another shirt that she had in the same style, but a different color, different fabric print. And I did the same thing to that one as well. So I thought, as I come across items in my closet that I happen to be wearing when I'm going to be filming, I'll tell you about them if they are something that I made or adapted or upcycled. So anyway, that's fun. I'm going to get back to work on this. Next is the arms and the head, and then I'll stitch on the breasts. And I'm a little bit ahead of time on that. This weekend I'm going away, and I think what I'm going to start working on, well, I'll take the batch making stuff that I'm working on, the Bernies, and maybe some of the Flying Spaghetti Monster stuff. But I'm getting a good amount now of scraps built up again. There's quite a bit in here. You can see through the bag. And I have a new idea. I've already told you in some previous chapter of not mixing them up intentionally and just taking clumps at a time, brushing them out and spinning it into yarn and seeing how it ends up. It won't be as homogeneous where all the colors are mixed together like the yarn that I already made. It'll be more color changing where you see chunks of like a brown or a black, and then chunks of the pastel scraps, and then chunks of other things from other projects. Like here's a bunch of orange from probably, yeah, Bertie Sanders, because there's also the fuzzy yarn that I use for his hair. So maybe I'll work on that some this weekend, and we'll see how that goes. I got all the batch making done on these Bernies that I brought to work on, and then I got to spinning. I'm only going to show you one batch of brushing out what I could line up on the bottom of this board, because it's basically a whole bunch of the same thing over and over again, but I ended up doing quite a bit of spinning this weekend. This is quite tiring, taxing on my muscles, and I ended up feeling like I seriously worked out my forearms in holding the brush and brushing out the yarn scraps. So I had to keep changing how I was holding it as well, because it was feeling like it was kind of bruising on the inside of my hand, on some of my like knuckle bones or hand bones. So anyway, not recommended to do this like a ton in one day like I did a ton in a couple days. But the result is some fun yarn, and I can't wait to show you in the next video. You'll see some more right after this, but then you'll get to see me finish the yarn in next week's video, because I haven't even done that yet. So what I did is I piled up one batch of yarn scraps like what you've seen here, and then I would do another batch of what I could layer across the bottom of my board, and I would do 2 to 3 batches and then I would spin those 2 to 3 batches onto my spindle, and that would kind of depend on how big each clump was. And then I'd layer each clump on the blending board in like from side to side, so they would be in thirds or in like half and half if it was only 2 clumps. And that way, when I rolled it up into a roll-ag, you can kind of see that there is a variation in color from one side to the other, so that when I spin it, you get a shifting of tone and color as it goes through the roll-ag. I'll be showing you just a bit of the spinning. Clearly, I'm at a section of the brushed out fibers from my Nana's, either Billie or Bjork, because these are the pastel scraps. And so it's fun that it's shifting now to the pastels. I'm excited to see how this all works out. When I've got the yarn to finish, you'll be able to see all the color shifting, as opposed to on the spindle, it just covers itself up. And then when I take it off the spindle, I roll it into a ball, and you can't see all the changing colors yet. Okay, you can't tell me this doesn't look like magical unicorn yarn. By the time I got to the end of this spindle's worth of yarn, you can definitely see a lot of the more bold colors beginning to mix in with the pastels. Here's an example of the spindle only with one roll-ag on it, so it is not yet filled up to my liking. And now I realize I misspoke earlier. I did do 2 to 3 combed out batches worth of fluff per board, which would be per roll-ag. However, then I also did 2 to 3 roll-ags per spindle. And I ended up doing 2 spindles full that I then rolled into balls. And I've got a third spindle going. So I've got 1 roll-ag spun onto the spindle that is still sitting there. So I will finish that also this week. And then I'll finish all of this yarn, and I have an idea for what to start doing with it, and it'll be fun. I'll bring you along the journey. Crochet hooks and colors bright, crafting wonders day and night. Join the fun, come see it through. Subscribe and I'll create for you.